Coming up on today's show, we're going to check out some UDFA grades. Now, don't take these grades seriously, really, at all. I think it's just a fun way to get to know the UDFAs a little bit better since so much time and attention will be devoted to the draftees. We've seen some UDFAs make the Browns 53-man roster. So if you want to be the smart guy in your Browns group chat, I would suggest listening up here because last year, 2 UDFAs made the roster, right? Diabate and Ronnie Hickman. Before that, DeAnthony Bell, AJ Green, Stephen Carlson, the Scottish Hammer. So maybe another one I forgot. Someone can fact check me, but there is a good history of the Browns, finding a spot on the roster for undrafted free agents. Now, we're not slowing down our content throughout the offseason. I know a lot of other, just content creators for the NFL in general kind of take their foot off the gas once the draft is over, but the same is not here. So go ahead, hit that sub button down below for the best free Browns offseason content going all spring and summer long. Now, let's get into our first UDFA grade, which is Aidan Robbins, running back out of BYU. I'm going to give this one a B grade. Started off at Louisville, transfers to UNLV. He has his best year in Las Vegas, over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. Then he goes to BYU, kind of in a committee backfield, 100-plus carries, 485 yards, and just 1 touchdown. So we'll give Robbins a B grade. Next one up is Ahmarean Brown, wide receiver from South Carolina. I'm going to give Mr. Brown an A grade. The Browns, I think, gave him a good amount of money as a UDFA, so I think there's some real interest on Cleveland's end to be a contender to make the 53-man roster. 5'8", 170 pounds, 4.37 40-yard dash. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brown is the Anthony Schwartz of this draft class, except he didn't cost you a third-round pick. That is the difference right here. Where the Browns previously used high draft capital on track athletes, now they wait until after the draft to get the track stars, and they pick football players during the NFL draft, which I think is a pretty good idea. Now, let me ask you this question. Will a UDFA make the roster? Yes or no? It always sounds daunting and nearly impossible, but the Browns didn't have a huge draft class, so I think there is room for 1, maybe 2 UDFAs to make the 53-man roster. Next guy up is a tight end from Wyoming. It is Trenton Welch. I'm going to give Mr. Welch a B grade. It has nothing to do with, him. It's more about, the tight end room, which I just feel like isn't all that loaded after David Njoku, so I thought they would go after a tight end in the draft. Ultimately, they wait until the UDFA portion to bring in a tight end. So I think Welch actually, despite not having crazy numbers at Wyoming, 5-year guy, 300 yards last year, 9 career touchdowns, he may have a really good shot of making the 53-man roster because if the Browns want to bring on 3 tight ends and they view Giovanni Ricci more as a fullback, then that means it is Welch and Zaire Mitchell-Payton, a pair of UDFAs, competing for that 3rd and final tight end spot. Next one up is an offensive tackle from Rhode Island, Lorenzo Thompson. I gave Thompson a B grade here. I'll go over my notes I have on Lorenzo, but it wasn't anything that made me think whoa, this is an all-time steal. I'm sorry, Lorenzo, if you're watching. I'm sure you're a great football player, and I would never say that to your face because you are 6'6", 305 pounds. 37 career starts at left tackle, so a lot of experience. He's 23. He'll turn 24 soon. So the funny thing about age is that it only works in your favor, right? If a guy's older, then that's a good thing because it means experience. If the guy's older for your rival team, that's a bad thing because it means he's already washed. Next one up is Javon Cohen from Miami. I'm going to give Cohen an A grade. I was very surprised to see him slip out of the NFL draft. This is a player that I think we've talked about during our mock drafts and whatnot leading up to the NFL draft. 6'4", 324 pounds. He was a 2-year starter. Started after just 1 year on the bench for the Crimson Tide. So as a sophomore at left guard. Then he transfers to Miami. He battled with some mental health issues. He's been a big advocate for mental health and awareness surrounding it. But 37 career starts, 2nd team All-SEC, an honorable mention All-ACC last year. Someone tell me why he wasn't drafted. Like, I know he's not some guaranteed round 2, 3, or 4 lock, but not even to go around 6 or 7. I mean, I think Cohen's got a really good chance of making this roster because I think he's probably the best all-around football player of all the UDFAs. Now, a little bit unlucky for him just because the Browns drafted someone at nearly his exact position, guard, in Zach Zinter. But if Michael Dunn, Dawson Deaton, Luke Whippler, they should not be looking at their jobs as locks for the roster. If Cohen comes in and has an awesome training camp, don't rule him out as a sleeper to be a UDFA that makes the roster. Now, we're going to look at the rest of the UDFAs in just a moment. But first, I just want to remind everyone, there's a great deal going on at Fanatics, and I'm a sucker for a good Fanatics deal, so I thought I would share it with you all. Go to chatsports.com/CLE shirt. It's not even warm weather's around the corner now. It is here, so get ready for the summer by getting some new Browns gear for your wardrobe. Check it out today. Use that link to get an awesome deal, chatsports.com/CLE shirt. Next one up is the North Dakota State center, Jalen Sundell. What notes do I have on Mr. Sundell? I gave him a B grade. There they are. 25 starts at center, 15 at left tackle. So he has some versatility to his game. And I think for the Browns, that's something they're going to treasure in a UDFA, a guy that can step in at different spots if needed. Next player up is Winston Reid, linebacker from Weber State. I gave Winston a B+ grade. When you look at the Browns linebacker room, I definitely think a guy like Winston Reid has the opportunity to compete for a 53-man roster spot because the linebacker room definitely doesn't have a lot of surefire things in it. Going back to Reid here, 5'11", 223 pounds, walk-on player at Weber State, and going from walk-on to first-team All-American, I think it gives you a pretty good idea as to the work ethic. So you know what? I'm already talking myself into Winston Reid going from an A-. Drop the minus. Winston Reid, you're an A, dude. I don't know why I gave you an A- when I filled out these grades during lunch. 2-time team captain? I think this guy might be the next Pro Bowl linebacker for this team. You got your next All-Pro right here. So, yeah, Reid, mid-video, on the fly, A- to A. Next guy up here we're going to get into is a cornerback. It is DyShawn Gales Cozart. Going to give Mr. Gales Cozart an A-. Went to South Dakota State, so not a whole lot of information on him. 3-year starter for South Dakota State. Really good ball skills, 9 career interceptions. So talk about someone that may make a play or two in a preseason game. I like the odds on Mr. Gales. I believe our final guy is a safety out of Arizona State. It is Chris Edmonds, who I gave an A grade to. Really good athleticism and size. 6'2", 210 pounds. Ran a 4.46 40-yard dash. 11 career interceptions. He transferred to Arizona State from, I want to say Samford off the top of my head, but I'm going to fact check myself right now to make sure. I got it right, Samford. First team All-American initially with the Bulldogs. First year at Arizona State, leads the team in interceptions, 2-year starter. So the Browns are kind of loaded at safety, I would say. But if Edmonds can wow like the last couple of UDFA safeties have, he could definitely steal a roster spot. Now, which UDFA will make the roster? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'll give you my prediction, but if you've got a different one, by all means, feel free to shoot your shot down below. Always good to see what you guys have to say. For me, I would go with the Wyoming tight end, Trenton Welch. I think Cohen, the Miami guard, is probably the best of the bunch, but he comes into a very crowded interior offensive line, whereas Welch does not enter a very crowded tight end room. So I think if they view Ricci as a fullback, which I believe is a fair assessment, and they want to bring 3 tight ends, Welch is only competing with one other guy. What other UDFA can say that right now? So I'll go with the Wyoming Cowboy, Trenton Welch. Now, let's pick a card with Trizzy Trace to wrap up the show. Trace, which card do you want to go with?
I'm liking the 5 of spades.
Give me the 8 of hearts. King of Hearts.
Brutal.
King of Hearts. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. Really appreciate everyone who come out and watched our video today. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure you go ahead and do so, and I'll see you all later with more Browns content.